Most agency owners don't have a lead gen problem. They're getting a tons of meetings, they're getting tons of positive replies. They actually have a sales problem. Because when you get a lot of replies, you get on calls, you're sitting talking with the prospect, but when it's time to close, everybody just stops and freezes. They start over-explaining, they drop their price, or maybe they just hear, I need to think about it. So in this video, I'm going to make you a better salesman so that when you get on all of these calls, you can actually get clients and get some money in your pocket. And this is all from just being a completely beginner to being an advanced salesman, okay? So first, I'll break down the exact mistakes that kills most sales calls. Then second, I'll show you a simple structure that you can follow on every single sales calls that you have. And then finally, I'll show you how to handle objections or obstacles, as I call them, without you sounding pushy or being a sleazy car salesman or just being, completely desperate. Because once you understand this, closing clients becomes predictable. And that's a really funny situation to be in. For context, I run an agency that does 74,000 euros every single month. And a big part of that is coming from how to consistently close clients on sales calls. Because one thing is getting them to reply and book the meeting, but getting on the meeting and selling to them, that's an entirely different case. So step one is you're pitching way too early, okay? Because beginners, when they jump on a call, they will immediately start talking about what they do, how good they are, what their offer is, what makes them different than everybody else. And when you do that, the client just checks out right there. And they check out because they don't feel understood. Your job on a sales is not to impress anybody, okay? It is literally just to diagnose. Is this a right fit? Can I help you? So think of it as you're not a salesperson, you're just a doctor diagnosing some problems, man. Are you able to help them, okay? This is the exact structure that you need to follow on every single sales call. First off, you wanna set the frame. So you wanna take control really early. Now, an example I always use is something I learned from my sales coach is that, hey, so I run these calls in this way. All I wanna do is understand a little bit about you, about the business, what your goals are, ambitions, where you want to be, what you tried before, yada yada. And if it makes sense, I will tell you all about us, the pricing, the investment, how we work, and so on. The last thing I want to do is to waste 30 minutes of your time. All right, cool? And then the prospect says, yeah, that's cool. And then you say, all right, John, then please start off just quickly, tell me a little bit about yourself and the business. That's it. That's the frame you use on every single start of the call. And you don't have to do more than that because it sets the structure, it keeps it formal, it keeps it professionally. And then when he's done talking about that, it leads you into the deep discovery where you can really go in and see and learn, okay, where are this business at and what they tried before and all this stuff. And this is so important because you want to understand where they are now, what they tried that didn't work, what's not working right now, and what do they actually want, okay? And this ties into the frame that you set in the beginning of the call. And if you're one of those people that are afraid to ask, like, how many clients do you have? How much revenue are you doing? You can ask other questions that will say, okay, how much on marketing are you spending every single month or something similar? How much traffic are you getting to your e-commerce site? What's your conversion rate, whatever. And then you can do the mathematicals in your own brain. So you can be like, okay, they're probably around this area. I'm saying that because some people just don't want to, give out their revenue, and that's completely normal. So you have to go a different route. You should also ask questions like, okay, what have you tried before? Again, leading back to the frame. What went well? What went wrong? Yada, yada. What's been the biggest challenge for you right now? And most importantly, you want to ask implication questions. This is something I learned from my sales coach, right? So implication question is exactly what I'm going to say right now. What happens if nothing changes in the next 6 to 12 months? Because that question will trigger something in them that they have to figure out themselves and tell you. So all you want to do is you want to sell, do not tell, okay? I didn't say, hey, if you don't do anything, this will happen in 6 months. The prospect, the one you're talking to, have to come up with that and tell you, okay? And when you've done your discovery, you want to repeat the problem back to the prospect, okay? So before you start pitching or anything, you just summarize. So John, just make sure I understand, right? In the past, you tried email marketing, you're currently at 500,000, monthly revenue. You did try email. Now you're spending very much on Google, Meta, TikTok, as in paid social, spending a lot on ads, but you're not really scaling, and your CAC seems just to be rising every single month, correct? I just compacted all the discovery. They tried email in the past. They're spending heavily on ad spend every single month, but their customer acquisition cost, that keeps rising. They don't have a back-end retention system. Is that the main thing here? And the prospect will say, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Or if you misunderstood something, that is your chance to go in again and just make sure you understand the prospect. Some people will yap so much that you'll be like, what are you even telling me, right? That's why you want to summarize real quick, okay? So before you pitch, always summarize to make sure that you understand 100% what the prospect has just been telling you for the past 20-25 minutes. And then when you have all of this, you dive deep, you've listed all the pain points and everything, then you can go in and pitch your solution, because now you should understand every single little thing, and then if your solution is the right way. Obviously, you want to go in and present. When you pitch, you want to keep it simple, okay? So you want to tie everything you just said into that exact problem that you've been discussing with the prospect about. Not just say, hey, we do lead gen and we do email marketing, we do content, we can do yada yada. You always want to say, okay, John, based on everything that we've just talked about for the last 30 minutes, what we could do. And then you drop your specific solution to their specific problem. So for me, email marketing agency, I would say, okay, so you keep spending on ads, all this stuff I just mentioned. That means that you're lacking a backend retention system to increase your customer loyalty, to convert more people, convert more traffic. You don't have to spend more on ads. We can literally do this just with email and SMS marketing. And that clarity will close deals because the prospect and you have understood everything about their business. They have even said themselves, yeah, our CAC is rising, I'm spending more on ads, but I'm not really being more profitable. We as email marketers solve all of that. So you want clarity, right? Do not make it complex, like throw out some wildly insane offer and just, hey, this sounds really cool. Just speak to them almost like a 5-year, okay? That closes deals. Simplicity and just clarity. Now moving on to pricing, okay? Because this is where most people actually fuck up. Do not justify and over-explain your price, okay? Just say your price and just shut up. So every time I pitch, I will say something along the lines. In your case, we will start at $3K per month. That's our foundation level. What do you think about that? And then I don't speak anymore. I put everything in their head. Now it's their time to give me, some guidance of how I can actually help them, if it's too expensive or it's just right, whatever it is, right? Just shut the fuck up, all right? Let the prospect speak now. And again, you're confident in yourself. If you're confident in your service, you can really help these people. Justifying your price just makes you feel like I'm not worth this much, okay? That's an entirely different conversation, but when you're so confident, pricing doesn't matter for you. And then when all this has come to the end, you will hear some objections. You will hear some obstacles, as I call them. Because most people say, I need to think about it. I need to talk with my partner. I need to calculate, whatever the fuck objection they will throw at you, right? Deep down, it just means that they're kind of unsure and they don't have the fully trust in you. So now you have the chance to convey that to them. So instead of saying, well, it's a typically, this is the marketing price for this offer, yada, yada. Just say, of course, I understand that could be a hefty investment. What specifically do you need to think about? Maybe I can help. What specifically are you unsure about? Is there something in this, that you don't feel comfortable with? Like you don't think I can generate results? Because now you're not fighting the objection, you're just understanding it. And most objections, they actually comes down to risk, trust, and clarity, okay? That's it. So if you solve for these 3, you can close the deal, or the deal actually closes itself. Now, even if you understand all of these things, most people still struggle on sales calls. And why is that? I believe it's because they don't do enough cold calls. They get emotional on calls. They take rejection personally, and sales is a skill. You can be very good at sales. And like any skill, it improves with volume and repetition every single time, okay? If you want to get better at something, get on more sales calls. Now, understanding how to close is actually one thing, but if you want to build a real business, you don't get enough calls in the first place, none of this actually matters, right? And sales only work in the way that you have consistent opportunities. And if you want help with that, I put a few resources down in the description right here. I have a full breakdown of the business model that I teach about. You can grab all my agency guides and the frameworks. And I even made a free school course where I walk through the fundamentals of building an agency. So go and watch that, it's absolutely free. But if you're watching this video and you are not getting enough sales calls, you can watch this video right here where I break down how to get your first 3 clients in the first 30 days. Because once you have both, as in consistent meetings booked and you can consistently close clients, everything about business becomes so much more fun. All right, peace.